Queen Silvera stood by the large window in her private chambers. Her 4 slender arms were crossed over her chest as she looked out at the 3 moons of Zinthar. The soft purple light shone on her face, making the scales on her forehead shimmer. She had not slept well in 5 years, not since the day the news came about her daughter. The queen turned away from the window and walked to a small altar in the corner of the room. On it sat a crystal orb that held the last image of Princess Elira. The young princess looked so proud in her battle armor, ready to lead her first space mission. That was the last time Silvera saw her daughter alive. "My queen, the War Council awaits," said Tazvel, her most trusted advisor, from the doorway. Silvera did not turn around. "Tell them I will be there shortly." When Tazvel left, the queen touched the crystal orb with one finger. The image inside changed, showing Elira as a child, running through the royal gardens with her small wings, not yet strong enough to carry her. "I will make them pay for taking you from me," Silvera whispered. The War Council room was filled with military leaders when the queen entered. They all bowed low, their wings folded tightly against their backs in respect. "What news from the front?" she asked, sitting on her throne at the head of the table. General Korlath stepped forward. "We have destroyed 3 more human outposts in the Vega system. Our forces met little resistance." "And the losses?" "Minimal, my queen. The humans were not prepared for our attack." Silvera nodded. "Good. What about the mining colony we found near the Proxima Belt?" Another general, Zithmar, spoke up. "We have surrounded it. We await your orders." "Destroy it," the queen said without hesitation. "Leave no survivors." A few of the council members exchanged quick glances. It was Tazvel who dared to speak. "My queen, our intelligence reports show it is mainly a civilian operation. There are families, children. Did the humans show mercy when they attacked my daughter's ship?" Silvera's voice was cold. "Did they spare her when she sent out a peace signal? The humans understand only one thing: force. We will speak to them in the only language they know." No one argued further. The queen had become harder, colder since Princess Elira's death. Some whispered that grief had changed her, turned her from a wise ruler into someone filled with revenge. But none would say this to her face. "There is one more thing, my queen," said General Korlath. "Our long-range scanners have detected an unusual energy signature approaching from Sector 12. Humans. We are not sure. The signature does not match known human ships, but it is not one of ours either. Send a scout ship to investigate," ordered the queen. "If it is human, destroy it. If it is something else, bring me information." As the meeting ended, Silvera returned to her chambers. A servant had left food, but the queen was not hungry. She rarely felt hunger anymore. All she felt was the empty space where her love for her daughter used to be, now filled with hatred for the humans. On her communication panel, a message light blinked. It was from the temple priestess, asking again if the queen would attend the yearly memorial ceremony for those lost in the war. Silvera deleted the message without answering. Ceremonies would not bring back her daughter. Only victory would give her peace. Far away, at the edge of Zinthari space, a small monitoring station picked up the strange energy signature growing stronger. The officer in charge watched the readings with concern. Whatever was coming, it was heading straight for Zinthari space, and it was moving fast. "Alert command," the officer told his assistant. "Tell them the object will reach our border in 12 hours. Neither of them knew that this small ship would change everything the Zinthari thought they knew about humans, and neither of them could have guessed who was on board. The strange ship slowed as it approached Zinthari space. It was small, clearly built for speed rather than battle. The design was human, but modified with parts that looked Zinthari in origin. This alone was enough to put the border patrol on high alert. "Ready weapons," ordered Captain Vextor of the Zinthari defense vessel Claw of Justice. "Prepare to fire on my command." The weapons officer had his finger poised over the firing control when the communications officer spoke up. "Captain, The ship is broadcasting a truce signal. And, sir, you need to see this. On the main screen appeared a sight that made every Xanthari on the bridge freeze. A female Xanthari with royal markings stood beside a human male. The female's wings were folded neatly behind her back, and though she looked tired, there was no mistaking who she was. This is Princess Elira, daughter of Queen Silvera, requesting safe passage to the homeworld. I come with important information that will end this war. Captain Vextor could not believe his eyes. This must be a trick. Princess Elira died 5 years ago. The human male stepped forward. He had brown hair, light skin, and wore simple clothes with no military markings. My name is Daniel Wright. I assure you, this is Princess Elira. We request an audience with Queen Silvera on a matter of utmost importance to both our peoples. The bridge crew looked to their captain. This situation was not covered in any training. Scan the vessel, ordered Vextor. The science officer ran a detailed scan. Captain, there are only 2 life forms aboard. 1 human, 1 Xanthari. And the Xanthari life signs. They match the royal family genetic pattern. Vextor made his decision. We will escort you to the homeworld. But be warned, if this is some kind of deception, you will not live to regret it. The small ship was brought into the docking bay of the Claw of Justice. 20 armed guards waited as the airlock opened. Princess Elira stepped out first, her head held high despite the weapons pointed at her. The human, Daniel, followed a step behind, his hands visible and empty. Princess Elira. One of the older guards whispered, lowering his weapon slightly. Yes, Krelvor. It is good to see you again, Elira said with a small smile. You taught me to fly when I was young, though my mother did not approve. The old guard's eyes widened. No human trick could know that detail. It is you, he said, bowing deeply. Not everyone was convinced. The ship's security chief stepped forward, eyeing Daniel with suspicion. And what is this human doing with you? Is he your prisoner? He is my friend, Elira said firmly. He saved my life. This caused a murmur among the guards. The idea of a human saving a Xanthari, especially royalty, went against everything they believed about humans. Captain Vextor ended the discussion. Take them to secure quarters. Treat the princess with respect, but watch the human closely. I will inform the queen. As they were led away, Daniel remained calm despite the hostile stares. Elira noticed his composure and spoke quietly in the human language, so only he could hear. They are afraid. They have been told humans are monsters for so long. I understand, Daniel replied softly. We thought the same about you. In her royal chambers, Queen Silvera received the news with disbelief, then shock, then a cautious hope she had not allowed herself to feel in years. Bring my daughter to me immediately, she ordered, and keep the human under guard. The news spread through the palace like wildfire. Princess Elira, alive after all these years, and more unbelievable still, she had arrived with a human by choice. As Elira was escorted to the palace, she looked out at her homeworld. So much was the same, yet she had changed. She wondered if her mother would understand what she had learned among the humans, or if the queen's hatred had grown too deep to hear the truth. We're here, Daniel said softly, sensing her thoughts as they approached the magnificent crystal spires of the royal palace. Are you ready? Elira took a deep breath. No, she admitted, but it's time for the truth to be heard. The throne room of Queen Silvera was filled with light from the tall crystal windows. Guards stood at every entrance, their weapons ready. The royal advisors and high-ranking military officers lined the walls, all eager to see if the rumors were true. Queen Silvera sat on her throne, trying to appear calm, but her inner hearts were beating fast. Could her daughter really be alive after all this time? The large doors opened. Princess Elira walked in, her head held high. She looked older, with new scars on her blue-scaled skin. Behind her came the human, Daniel Wright, escorted by 4 armed guards. For a moment, the queen sat frozen. Then she stood and rushed down the steps from her throne. "Elira," she whispered, "my daughter." They embraced, all four of the queen's arms wrapping around her child. The court watched in silence. Some of the older advisors had tears in their eyes. "I thought I had lost you forever," said the queen, touching her daughter's face as if to make sure she was real. "I almost died, mother," said Elira. "My ship was destroyed in the battle. I was badly hurt." The queen's eyes darkened with anger. "The humans did this to you." "No, mother, you don't understand. The humans saved me." Queen Silvera pulled back, confused. "What do you mean? Humans are our enemies. They started this war." Elira shook her head. "That's not true. There has been a terrible misunderstanding. This is Daniel Wright. He found me floating in space, barely alive. He and his science team saved me." The queen looked at Daniel for the first time. Her upper lip curled in disgust. "And what did this human want in return?" "Information about our defenses. Our technology." "Nothing, mother. They helped me because it was the right thing to do." The court began to murmur. This went against everything they had been told about humans. Daniel spoke up. "Your Majesty, we had no idea who Princess Elira was when we found her. We only knew she needed help." "Silence, human," snapped General Korlath. "You do not speak to the queen unless asked." Queen Silvera studied Daniel, then looked back at her daughter. "Something is different about you, Elira. Your manner of speaking, the way you stand. You have been changed. I have learned much, mother, about humans, about ourselves. The war is based on lies." The queen's face hardened. "So, they have turned you against your own people." "No, mother, please listen. I see what has happened. They have poisoned your mind." The queen turned to her guards. "Take my daughter to the medical wing. She needs to be examined and cleansed of human influence." "Mother, no." Elira tried to resist as guards took her arms. "You must listen. The war was started by someone else. A third party wants humans and Zinthari to destroy each other. And you," said the queen, pointing at Daniel, "you will be executed for what you have done to my daughter." Daniel remained calm even as guards grabbed him. "Your Majesty, before you make that decision, you should know that humanity is not what you think it is. And neither is this war." "Take them away," ordered the queen. As they were let out, Elira called back, "Mother, please. There is so much you don't understand." When the throne room was empty except for her advisors, Queen Silvera returned to her throne. She felt confused and angry. Her daughter was alive. That should have been the happiest moment of her life. But instead, she felt a new kind of fear. "She has been with them for 5 years, said Tazvel quietly. "Who knows what they have done to her mind?" "Prepare the best medical team," ordered the queen. "I want to know exactly what the humans did to my daughter." But deep inside, Queen Silvera was afraid of what they might find. Because for a brief moment, when she looked into Elira's eyes, she had seen something unfamiliar. Something that looked almost human. Princess Elira sat alone in a large room in the medical wing. It was comfortable enough, with soft cushions and fresh water, but the door was locked. She was a prisoner in her own home. The doctors had examined her for hours. They had taken blood samples, scanned her brain, and asked endless questions. Elira answered them all honestly, but she could see they did not believe her. "The humans saved my life," she told them again and again. "Daniel and his people are not our enemies." But the doctors only made notes and exchanged worried looks. Night fell, and Elira stood at the window, looking at the 3 moons of her homeworld. She missed them during her years away. But now she also missed the single moon of Earth that Daniel had shown her. A soft knock came at her door. Then she heard the lock click open. "Who's there?" she asked. The door opened just enough to let in a tall Zinthari male. It was Krev Moore, her childhood friend who had become a royal guard. "Krev Moore," Elira whispered with joy. "I hoped you would come." He looked nervous, his wings twitching slightly. I should not be here, Princess. The Queen has ordered that no one speak with you until the doctors finish their report. And what do they think is wrong with me? Elira asked bitterly. That I no longer hate humans. That I see them as people and not monsters. Crevmore looked down. They say you have been changed. That the human has done something to your mind. He saved my mind, Crevmore, and my life. Elira stepped closer. Do you remember how we used to climb the crystal towers when we were small? How you taught me to glide before my wings were fully grown? A small smile crossed his face. Yes, we got in so much trouble. And do I seem different to you now? Not just older, but not myself. He studied her face. You seem wiser, perhaps, but still Elira. Then please, help me. The human Daniel. They plan to kill him, but he is not just my friend. We share a neural bond. Crevmore's eyes widened in shock. A neural bond. But that is sacred. Only Zinthari can bond with Zinthari. I was dying, Crevmore. My neural pathways were damaged when my ship exploded. Daniel offered part of his own neural network to repair mine. It was a new procedure, never tried between our species. But it worked. So you and this human share thoughts. Memories, emotions, sometimes thoughts when we are close. I have seen Earth through his eyes. I know his people as he knows them. And he knows us, Crevmore. He understands our ways better than any human ever has. Crevmore paced the room, his wings now fully extended in distress. This is forbidden knowledge, Elira. If what you say is true, it is true. And there is more. The war between our peoples was started by someone else, a third species called the Vex Collective. They want us to destroy each other. These are dangerous words, Princess, but they are the truth. And if my mother executes Daniel, she will never know. Our peoples will keep fighting until both are too weak to resist the real enemy. Elira took his hands in hers. Please, help me save him. Help me save all of us. Crevmore was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. The human is being held in the lower chambers. They plan to execute him at first light. We have little time. Thank you, my friend, Elira said, squeezing his hands. Don't thank me yet. We still need to get past the guards, rescue the human, and then somehow escape the palace without being seen. We won't escape, said Elira. We need to go to the ancient temple in the mountains. It is sacred ground. Even my mother's forces will hesitate to attack us there. And then what? Elira looked out at the moons again. Then we make them listen to the truth. All of them, human and Zinthari alike. Crevmore nodded. I will create a distraction. Be ready to move quickly when I return. After he left, Elira closed her eyes and focused her mind. Through their bond, she could sense Daniel. He was afraid but staying strong. Hold on, she whispered, though she knew he could not hear her words. I'm coming for you. The ancient temple stood on a high mountain, its stone walls glowing softly under the three moons. It was built thousands of years ago, before Zinthari even traveled to space. No weapons were allowed on this sacred ground. Daniel, Elira, and Crevmore reached the temple just as the first sun began to rise. They were tired from their long journey. Crevmore had helped them escape the palace by starting a small fire in another part of the building. In the confusion, they freed Daniel and slipped away into the night. We should be safe here for now, said Elira, looking back down the mountain path. No one will attack us in the temple. But they can wait for us to come out, said Crevmore, his wings drooping with tiredness. We cannot stay here forever. Daniel walked to the edge of the temple grounds. From here, he could see the royal city spread out below. It was beautiful, with its crystal towers catching the light of the rising sun. Your world is amazing, he said to Elira. So different from Earth, yet in some ways so similar. She came to stand beside him. That's what I tried to tell my mother. Our peoples have more in common than they think. Crevmore joined them. You said something about proof. About a third species starting the war. What proof do you have? Daniel turned to face him. We need to explain from the beginning. 5 years ago, when Illyra's ship was attacked, it wasn't humans who fired first. It was a ship that looked human, but wasn't. That's a convenient story, said Crevmore, still not fully convinced. After Daniel saved me, Illyra continued, I told him about the attack. How human ships fired on us without warning, even though we sent peace signals. It didn't make sense to him. Human rules of space travel forbid attacking ships that signal peace. So we started investigating, said Daniel. We found records of the battle from both sides. The images didn't match. What each side thought they saw wasn't what really happened. Crevmore frowned. How is that possible? Technology, Daniel explained. Advanced technology that can make ships look different than they are. That can block or change communication signals between species. We tracked the source, said Illyra. For years, we followed clues, hacked into old records, interviewed survivors from both sides. All trails led to the same place. The Vex Collective. I've never heard of them, said Crevmore. Few have, said Daniel. They live on the far edge of known space. They are not like us or the Xanthari. They are partly machine, partly living. And they want our territories. Illyra opened a small pack she had carried from the ship. Inside was a data device. She activated it, and a hologram appeared in the air between them. It showed strange-looking ships, not Xanthari or human in design. These are Vex ships, she said. We found them hiding near battles, watching, sometimes interfering. The hologram changed to show communication logs, star maps with attack patterns, and other evidence. They've been playing a long game, Daniel explained. First, they made us fight each other. Now they wait for both sides to get weak from years of war. Then they will attack and take everything. Crevmore studied the evidence, his expression growing more serious. If this is true, we need to tell the Queen. Tell everyone. My mother won't listen, said Illyra sadly. She is too filled with hate for humans now. Others might listen, said a new voice. They turned quickly. At the entrance to the temple stood Admiral Zornful, one of the highest military leaders of the Xanthari fleet. Behind him were several officers. Crevmore reached for a weapon, then remembered he had none in this sacred place. We did not come to fight, said Admiral Zornful, raising his hands to show they were empty. We came because some of us have had questions about this war from the beginning. Questions no one could answer. He looked at the hologram still floating in the air. Perhaps now we can find those answers. Illyra stepped forward. Admiral, what about my mother? Does she know you're here? The Admiral's face darkened. The Queen has not been informed of our visit, but others in the High Command are concerned about her judgment lately. We need to know the truth, Princess, for the sake of our people. Daniel looked at Illyra, and she nodded. Through their bond, they shared the same thought. This was their chance. The news spread quickly through the high ranks of the Xanthari military. Admiral Zornful had called an emergency meeting of all fleet commanders. In a secure room deep inside the mountain temple, Illyra and Daniel presented their evidence to 20 of the most powerful military leaders in the Empire. This recording was taken from a damaged Vex ship we found hidden near the Proxima Belt, Daniel explained as he played a video. The video showed a strange alien, half machine and half living, speaking to others of its kind. The translation appeared at the bottom of the screen. The humans and Xanthari continue to destroy each other as planned. Phase 2 will begin when both fleets are reduced by 60%. Admiral Zornful stood up when the video ended. I have questioned this war from the beginning. Our first contact with humans was peaceful. Then suddenly, without warning, they attacked. It never made sense. Because it wasn't humans who attacked, said Illyra. It was Vex ships disguised as human vessels. And they did the same to us, added Daniel. Human ships received messages that seemed to come from Xanthari, threatening to destroy Earth. The military leaders talked among themselves. Some still looked doubtful, but others were beginning to believe. "Even if this is true," said General Korleth, "what can we do? The Queen will not listen. She is not open to peace with humans." "That is why I have made a difficult decision," said Admiral Zornfel. His voice was firm but sad. "As of this morning, I have relieved Queen Silvera of military command, citing health concerns due to war stress." A shocked silence filled the room. What the Admiral had done was close to treason. "The Queen will not accept this," said one commander. "She has no choice," replied Admiral Zornfel. "All fleet commanders are now here, and we all agree she is not thinking clearly. This is a temporary measure only, until we can verify this information and decide our next steps." Daniel stepped forward. "There is more. I have been in contact with a small group of human military officers led by Captain Olivia Bell. They have also been investigating the Vex Collective." This caused more murmurs among the Zinthari. The idea of working with humans was still hard for them to accept. "Captain Bell and her team will arrive tomorrow under a flag of truce," Daniel continued. "They'd bring more evidence, including captured Vex technology that proves they can change how ships appear to sensors. You invited humans to our homeworld without permission." General Korlath was angry now. "This is an outrage." "No," said Elira firmly. "This is our chance to end a pointless war before more lives are lost on both sides." Admiral Zornthal raised his hand for quiet. "We will meet these humans, hear their evidence, then decide." As the meeting ended, Krevmore approached Elira. "The Queen knows by now what has happened. She will be furious." "I know," said Elira sadly, "but I hope when she sees the truth, she will understand." Daniel touched Elira's arm gently. Through their bond, he could feel her sadness about her mother. "We should prepare for the human delegation," he said. "There's still much to do." That evening, as they worked on their presentation for the next day, a young officer rushed into the room. "Admiral Zornthal, we've detected Vex ships entering our system. 3 large vessels, approaching quickly." The Admiral's face darkened. "They must have realized we discovered them. How long until they reach our orbit?" 6 hours at their current speed. Alert all ships. Prepare for possible attack." The Admiral turned to Daniel. "Can your Captain Bell get here sooner? We may need those humans now more than ever." Daniel nodded. "I'll contact her immediately. Their ship is fast. They might make it just in time." Elira stood at the window, looking at the darkening sky. "The Vex didn't expect our species to discover their plans so quickly. They're rushing their timeline." "Which means they're desperate," said Daniel. "And that gives us an advantage." Across the room, Syntheri officers who had been enemies with humans for years were now working quickly to prepare for the arrival of human allies. The war that had seemed endless was changing into something new. A united stand against a common enemy. "It's starting," Elira said softly to Daniel. "The bridge between our peoples." He nodded. "Now we just have to survive long enough to build it." The human ship arrived just as the first light of day touched the crystal towers of the Zinthari capital. It was a sleek vessel, built for speed, with the words "Unity Mission" painted on its side in both human and Zinthari languages. A small group of humans stepped out onto Zinthari soil. Captain Olivia Bell led them, a tall woman with short brown hair and determined eyes. 4 others followed her, 2 scientists, an engineer, and a military officer. They looked nervous but brave. Daniel greeted them with a smile. "Captain Bell, thank you for coming so quickly." "We pushed the engines to their limit," she replied. "Your message about the Vex ships was quite motivating." Admiral Zornithal stepped forward. "Welcome to Zinthar, Captain Bell. I wish it could be under better circumstances." "As do I, Admiral." She handed him a data device. "This contains all our intelligence on the Vex Collective. We believe they'll attack both our worlds once they're done with us here." The humans were taken to the command center inside the temple complex. Maps and battle plans covered the walls. Xanthari officers worked alongside Daniel, planning defense strategies. "The Vex ships will reach our orbit in 2 hours," reported Krefmore. "Our fleet is in position, but we're outnumbered." "Not for long," said Captain Bell. She activated a communication link. "Commander Lewis, report." A voice came through the speakers. "We're at the edge of the system, Captain. 5 ships ready and waiting for your command." Some of the Xanthari officers looked surprised. Admiral Zornthal raised an eye ridge. "You brought a battle fleet to our homeworld." "I brought allies," Bell corrected him. "Would you rather face the Vex alone?" Before the Admiral could answer, the door to the command center slammed open. Queen Silvera stood there, her eyes bright with anger. Royal guards flanked her on both sides. "What is happening here?" she demanded. "Humans on our sacred soil. My own military ignoring my orders." Her gaze found Elira. "And my daughter, a traitor to her people." "Mother, please," said Elira, stepping forward. "You need to see the evidence. The war between us and humans was started by the Vex. They tricked us into fighting each other." "Lies," the Queen hissed. "Human lies that you now repeat." Daniel moved to Elira's side. "Your Majesty, we have proof. And right now, Vex ships are approaching your world. They plan to destroy both humans and Xanthari." The Queen looked at him with hate in her eyes. "You have poisoned my daughter's mind." "No, Mother," Elira said firmly. "He helped me see the truth. Through our neural bond, I have experienced his memories, his world. Humans are not the monsters we thought they were." "Neural bond." The Queen stepped back in shock. "You share a sacred bond with this human." Admiral Zornthal moved between the Queen and Elira. "My Queen, I know this is difficult to accept, but the evidence is clear. The Vex are the real enemy, and they will be here soon. We need these humans now." The Queen looked around the room. Her own military leaders stood with the humans, united in purpose. "Show me this evidence," she said finally, her voice cold. For the next hour, Elira, Daniel, and Captain Bell presented everything they had learned about the Vex. The Queen remained silent, her face giving away nothing. When they finished, Captain Bell stepped forward with one final piece. "Your Majesty, with your permission, we have brought a new technology. It's based on the neural bond between your daughter and Daniel. It's a temporary version that would allow you to experience human memories directly, to see the truth for yourself." She held out a small device with 2 headsets. "You want me to connect my mind with a human?" The Queen's voice was filled with disgust. "With me," said Captain Bell. "I was there when we discovered the Vex deception. I saw their ships with my own eyes." The Queen looked at her daughter. "You did this, connected your mind with his." "Yes, Mother," Elira said softly. "And it changed everything I thought I knew." A young officer burst into the room. "Admiral, the Vex ships have increased speed. They'll reach our orbit in 30 minutes. All eyes turned to the Queen. The future of both species might depend on her decision. "Very well," she said finally. "Show me your truth, human, but make it quick. It seems we have a battle to prepare for." The great space battle above Xanthar lasted for 6 hours. Human and Xanthari ships fought side by side against the Vex vessels. The Vex were powerful, with technology far beyond either of their allies, but they had not expected the 2 former enemies to work together. In the command center, Queen Silvera stood with Captain Bell, giving orders to their combined fleet. The neural link they had shared lasted only minutes, but it changed everything. The Queen had seen the truth through human eyes, felt human emotions, understood human intentions, and Bell had experienced Xanthari grief and pride. "The largest Vex ship is targeting our defense station," reported a Xanthari officer. "Direct all fire to their engine section," ordered the Queen. "Human ships can attack from behind while they're distracted." Captain Bell nodded in agreement. "Commander Lewis, you heard the Queen. Take ships 3 and 4 around the backside of that vessel. It was strange to see humans and Xanthari working together after so many years of war, but the shared danger brought out the best in both species. Mother, look. Elira pointed to the main screen. 3 Vex ships were breaking apart under the combined attack. We've hurt them, said Daniel, but their main vessel is still intact. The Queen turned to him. For the first time, she spoke to him without anger or suspicion. You were right about them. And about us. We should never have been enemies. There's still time to be allies, Daniel replied with a smile. Admiral Zornthal approached with a concerned look. The main Vex ship is preparing to fire its primary weapon. Our shields won't hold against it. But both our shields together might, said Elira suddenly. She turned to Daniel, and through their bond, they shared the same idea at once. Daniel nodded. If we combine the shield technology from both our species, we could create something the Vex haven't seen before. Can it be done? Asked the Queen. Yes, said Captain Bell. But we'd need to synchronize the shield generators perfectly, and we'd need someone with knowledge of both systems. Everyone looked at Elira and Daniel. We can do it, said Elira. Through our bond, we can make the adjustments in real time. The next 20 minutes were tense as Elira and Daniel worked with engineers from both species. The Vex ship grew closer, its massive weapon glowing as it prepared to fire. Shield integration complete, Daniel finally announced. Activating now. A new kind of shield surrounded the Xanthari homeworld, shimmering with colors never seen before. When the Vex weapon fired, the blast hit the shield with tremendous force. For a moment, it seemed the shield might break, but it held. Now, shouted the Queen, while their weapon is recharging. All human and Xanthari ships fired at once at the vulnerable Vex vessel. Explosions rippled across its surface, and then it split apart in a blinding flash of light. A cheer went up in the command center. Humans and Xanthari clasped hands and shoulders in celebration. The remaining Vex ships fled, disappearing into deep space. We've won the battle, said Admiral Zornthal. But the Vex will return, stronger next time. And we will be ready, said the Queen. She looked at her daughter and Daniel. Thanks to what you have shown us, what you have become together. 3 days later, a ceremony was held in the great plaza of the Xanthari capital. Queen Silvera and Captain Bell signed a peace treaty between their peoples. Around them stood Xanthari and humans, former enemies now joined against a common threat. Today marks a new beginning, announced the Queen to the crowd. For too long, we saw each other as different, as enemies. But through my daughter's eyes, I have learned that humanity is not something foreign to us. It is not just a human quality. It is the ability to show compassion, to adapt, to grow, to connect with those different from ourselves. She placed a hand on Elira's shoulder. My daughter did not return contaminated by humanity, as I first feared. She returned with a deeper understanding of what it means to be Xanthari, seen through new eyes. Elira stepped forward with Daniel beside her. The Vex thought they could use our differences to divide us. Instead, those differences have become our strength. As the ceremony ended, workers unveiled a new monument, 2 DNA spirals, one human, one Xanthari, woven together but each keeping its unique pattern. The inscription below read in both languages, "In our differences, we find our greatest strength."